I had a friend message me the other day and he said he went for a run for the first time in a long time and his shins were hurting. I imagine maybe his ankles or knees were bothering him a little bit. And if they weren't, that's a very common thing when people are either into running or they're getting started with running. And I want to address some things if you're kind of a beginner runner or you're getting back into it. I want to talk about some things that'll help you avoid injury and actually feel good while running because I don't like it's something to be enjoyed in my opinion. I love David Goggins and how he's like, I do it because I hate it. I'm not that guy. I love running, so that's why I do it. And I have mad respect for anyone who's going to purposely put them through something they hate. If you're getting into running, I imagine there's some reasons behind that. Whether it's health, cardio, you want to become mentally stronger. I think you do better with those things if you enjoy it and you really start to obsess yourself with it. So, no disrespect to David Goggins. I'm just saying this is about loving it for me. I'm not trying to hate it all the time. Even though it gets hard, I still love that. I enjoy it. And I'd have to ask David Goggins, but I would argue that he may not love running, but he loves the fact that he gets better and that he mentally gets stronger. And that's what he loves and he's obsessed with. And so running is the method for that. And I don't know. I feel like he does kind of love it, but again, he's his own person. He would be able to tell us that. So, anyways, the point being, I want you to love it. I don't want you to hate this thing, and I hope I can give you some things that'll help you start off on the right path and learn from my mistakes. When it comes to running and getting started, I think one really important thing to address is after a couple weeks, you will feel better. When you do anything for the first time or you're warming back up into it, it's different. Like, you're in your old habits or your own way of feeling. And it's the same thing of like when you do your first leg day in a long time, wherever, you're sore for like 4 or 5 days. And then after that, as you're consistent, maybe you're not even sore, or maybe it's only like a day or two. And so it's the same thing with running is if you can just gut out 2 or 3 weeks of consistent running 2 to 5 times a week, you will feel better and actually enjoy it. So I want to address that. Now, when it comes to increasing volume, I like the 10% rule where it's like let's say you run 10 miles in a week, you increase by 10% the next week. So that would be 11 miles. And then that would be 12.1 miles the following week after that. And so that's a very healthy, safe way. But here's the thing. If you increase properly and efficiently in a way that's going to reduce injury and you're running like shit and your form is bad, it doesn't really, like you're still going to have problems is my point. So let's talk about when you're getting into running, how do you avoid hurting yourself or just feeling uncomfortable? Because once you're consistent for a couple weeks or a month, you should feel better, but that's not the case if you're running with bad form. And I feel bad because I'll be driving and I'll see people running and I'll look at them and maybe they're at the end of a long run. Like my form breaks down too. I'm not better than them, but I see some people's forms and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like comfortable, like it's enjoyable, and it will increase your risk of injury. And so, yes, everybody is different. There's some key points that I want to address that will help you and hopefully help my friend, Jordan. You're an animal for going for your first run in a while. So let's talk about this. One, strength training and being flexible is going to help you. So if you get too tight, you can get injured. If you're not strong enough, you can get injured, right? So putting that to the side because I've made a lot of videos on that. Let's talk about your form. So running should be relaxed, in my opinion. And one of the big things that makes it not relaxed, like makes someone not relaxed, is they are taking too long of steps. So let's talk about cadence for a second. When you have a higher cadence, generally it's going to reduce your impact reduce your impact and reduce your risk of injury. And on top of that, you don't have to stretch and push for so much, right? So if you're running at a 150 cadence, so that's 150 steps in a minute, then you really have to like stride, and so you push and it's a little bit harder than it needs to be versus if you get to like 180, 190, and it all depends on the pace you're at, but you're able to land on your foot better. So this like brings in striking, like how your foot lands, because if I'm stretching because my cadence is low, my heel is going to hit the ground, and that's going to send impact all the way up through the leg and all the way up through your body. So if you're heel striking, where it's your heel is the first part that makes contact with the ground when you're running, of course your shin and knees and ankles are going to hurt because that's just not good momentum to just like be jamming your heel every step throughout your run, right? And every single run. So when you get a higher cadence, you're able to get your foot underneath you more. And what I look for is like a mid or front foot strike because it's much more natural and it kind of like the way I look at it is you're like rolling because you're not like forcing through the heel to take your next step. It's like you're landing like this and pushing off that way, if that makes sense. I can't really demonstrate with this setup. But if you look up mid-foot striking or, front foot striking versus heel striking, hopefully there's a video out there that can explain it better than me. The point is if you have a higher cadence and you land on the mid part of your foot or the front part of your foot, you're going to have a better outcome. And this is less likely for you to get hurt. Now, this doesn't fix everything, but that will help as far as like reducing risk of shin splints or just your knees bothering you. And yes, if you're too tight or not strong enough, that's a different problem. But I think the biggest mistake people make when they start running is their heel striking. And their cadence is a little high and they're stretching and pushing. Now, obviously, if you're doing speed work or setting a new distance PR, it is going to be hard. But my point is like, not all running should be like super difficult if you're trying to get better or train for a race. Like you want it to be easy and you want to build volume that way. And of course you don't want to hurt yourself. So I think the biggest thing you can focus on, especially if you're new to running, is good form. And one really solid part of good form is mid to front foot striking. Now shoes have an impact on this. Also like how much you're leaning forward or back or not at all, like not leaning at all. That is all part of it too, so you can go look up other running form videos. But I think when you fix the foundation, the cadence, and how you're landing, that naturally solves a lot of the other things that comes with bad running form. So work on a higher cadence, or the way I've heard people explain this is if you get like a metronome or listen to a song with a particular beat, you just land each foot to that beat. You could set a metronome that's like 180 per second and try to match that cadence. So I never did that, but I could see how that would be helpful. I just pay attention to where my feet are landing and then my watch can track it, that's helpful too. So hopefully that helps because I don't want people to get into running and then like just hurt themselves and then be like, well, I guess it's not for me. Because one of the things I hate the most is when people are like, running's not for me. I just hurt. And it's like, yeah, I know running's tough. I hurt too, and I've been running for years. But it shouldn't just hurt. That's no fun. Like imagine you're in the gym and just every time you lift something, you just like tear something or break something or it's just uncomfortable. Like that's no fun. Like it's uncomfortable in the sense that you're pushing yourself, but you shouldn't just be hurting. Like I would hate for that. And for me, and I know that's what a lot of people deal with. So anyways, I'm ranting a little bit. I hope this helps. And if you like running fitness, this channel is about that. I'm trying to help people learn from my mistakes and deepen their connection with running because it's quite literally saved my life. So if that's for you, consider subscribing. And if not, don't worry about it. I still hope you got something out of this video, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.